Josh, I'll go to you first in this one. We talk all the time about drivers not wanting to rush up the ladder, but you look at somebody like Ty Gibbs, the speed that he's shown so quickly, all the things that he already has in his resume, and going out and getting a top 10 in a Cup race. Do you think he's already ready for Cup, and would Toyota even be able to open up a seat for him?
He's ready. We were umming and ahhing at the start of the year whether he was or not. Now he's got a couple of races because Kurt Busch is injured in that car as well. 10th place finish. Yeah, he's ready. Ty Gibbs has been so impressive this season as well, and I'm loving seeing him race. I'm loving his etiquette of racing, I'm loving the driving, I'm loving everything. And in terms of seats available, we already know that Kurt Busch is pretty much confirmed that 2023 is going to be his last year. That means 2024 is likely to be Ty Gibbs, but that's still another season in the Xfinity as well. Personally, I know Kurt Busch is like saying, well, I've got to be careful as well. The doctor's saying, well, it could take a while, yeah, because he's got that head injury as well. If I was Kurt Busch, I would probably retire now and just say, that's it, I'm done. I've got nothing left to prove. And give Ty Gibbs the shot. I think Ty Gibbs is the obvious replacement for that Toyota. And I think it's got to happen sooner or later. You don't want to do a George Russell and keep him in there for another year. And by the time he gets in the car, it's nowhere near competitive as it once was. So get him in there and get him in soon. I'd rather see Kurt Busch leave and Ty Gibbs in than not have Ty Gibbs at all and miss out on what could be a legend in the Cup Series.
Josh, which Toyota do you think he needs to replace this year? Was that Kurt Busch?
Kurt Busch, definitely, yeah.
So he needs to go ahead and speed up the process and be out.
Kurt Busch, I think Kurt Busch should really retire at the end of this season.
Yeah.
And then going into for 2023, he's already saying that it could be his last year in 2023. I think he should speed it up now and give Ty Gibbs the seat for 2023. I mean, he's already proved how good he can do in that Cup Series. So yeah, that's my way. He should replace Kurt Busch.
Just making sure I heard it right. But I mean, also we're seeing these problems with Kyle Busch. That's another Toyota seat that might possibly open very well. And who knows, by the end of the year, Martin Truex Jr. might even call it quits. I don't know what his plans are, but that's another Toyota. But other than that, that's about it as far as open spots for Ty Gibbs. He's an enormous talent. And as much as we've talked about him at the beginning, as much as we've talked about him at the beginning of the season, and we kind of didn't really like to as much, Ben, you and I, as at the beginning, it felt kind of repetitive. But more and more, he's shown he's just like a Kyle Busch in 2004. I mean, he's just sprouted out of thin air, and he's now just a phenom that's ready to get a seat and explode. And he's going to do it pretty soon. Just depending on where he goes, that's the big question.
Well, I'm just thinking about the Toyota Cup Series seats here, and of course, we know now more than ever. You see what's happening with McLaren and IndyCar and Formula One and Alex Palou and Oscar Piastri. Contracts are just words on paper. Tweets are just words coming from a verified account digitally that a driver can come out 10 minutes later and completely deny. So I don't think we should ever look at anything as 100% entirely set in stone, but I have a hard time seeing Toyota let go of Christopher Bell at this point. I think he still needs a little bit more time to evolve into a weekly contender and a contender for a Cup Series championship. Denny Hamlin being involved in ownership with Toyota now, I don't see him leaving. Martin Truex Jr. says he's coming back. We'll see the situation with him. And of course, we wish his longtime girlfriend, Sherry Pollux, well. I know she's battling some health issues once again. So that could always factor into the decision that's made there, depending on how that goes. So we're wishing them all the best. But it looks like Truex for now will be back. He's announced that that's his plan. So you look at the other seats that are available. You just have the two seats at 2311. And again, Bubba Wallace seems to be the flagship driver for that team. Hard to see him being shuffled around, going elsewhere at this point. That partnership is just getting started and just coming into their own with how he's been running the last few weeks. So that leaves the two Busch brothers. And obviously, Joe's asking the question here, do we think Kyle Busch is more likely to be in the 18 or out? I keep feeling like there is still time to get a deal done, but you would have liked to have had that deal done by now. And here's the thing that I think is maybe getting lost in all of this when it comes to Kyle Busch. I think Kyle needs more sponsorship than Ty Gibbs would need to get that seat, because Kyle is a veteran. He's a two-time champion. And I think his salary, even if he were to take a pay cut based on what the Mars sponsorship provides, the salary that Kyle commands versus a would-be Cup rookie like Ty Gibbs might factor into that decision as well as to how much sponsorship you would theoretically need for that car. So if Kyle Busch gets an offer elsewhere, I'm sure Toyota would love to keep him. Joe Gibbs would love to keep him. But when you have Ty Gibbs waiting in the wings and the talent that he clearly possesses and questions as to whether or not he's already, just before his 20th birthday, ready to move up to the Cup Series, would Gibbs be willing to give that seat to his grandson, knowing that he wouldn't need as much sponsorship to put him in that car for a full season as compared to Kyle Busch? And would he be willing to let Kyle Busch walk? That's the Joe Gibbs perspective. Then you look at the 2311 perspective. Kurt Busch is the last remaining driver who still competed with Dale Earnhardt. It's easy to forget just how long he's been around. And we know that he probably only has 1 or 2 years left at most, and that's always kind of been the idea going into this deal with 2311 Racing. Tyler Reddick's going to be coming into the team in 2024. It's unclear as to whether or not he would take Kurt's seat or they would expand to a 3-car team. But now Kurt's dealing with these concussion-like symptoms. So do you maybe take a step back if you're Kurt and think, I'm in my mid-40s now, I'm a Cup Series champion, I've got nothing left to prove here. Is it worth the risk of getting another big hit, getting another concussion, and potentially doing damage that could last beyond and into retirement and not be able to, enjoy my retirement? Do I maybe just step out of the car now? Is this a sign that maybe it's time for me to step away and let Ty into the 45 car and make his Cup debut a little bit sooner than expected? So there's a lot to consider here, but I think if Ty were to move to the Cup Series as early as next season, it's probably going to be in one of the Busch brothers' seats. Either Kurt is going to retire due to the concerns about his health, and certainly we wish him all the best as well. And I expect him to make a return this season and fight for a championship, but he may just decide beyond this season it might not be worth the risk. And then obviously Kyle's contract situation is up in the air. Those are probably the two most likely options for Ty Gibbs if he were to move up in 2023. It looks like we just lost Brandon here, but hopefully we'll get him back shortly. See, we have go ahead, Josh.
I definitely think, in my opinion, as I said, I think it's Kurt Busch who will go, because I can understand as well with the sponsorship as well, with Kyle Busch as well being just sort of more expensive to run than Ty Gibbs as well, and obviously put him in the car, put Gibbs in the car be cheaper. But do we really want to lose either of the Busch, or do we want to lose both the Busch brothers? That's a question. They are such a good talent together. They've proved that they can both race as competitively as each other. I just can't see it. Kurt Busch, I think, is more likely to retire than Kyle Busch being forced out. But I think IndyCar should IndyCar. It's late. I think NASCAR should definitely start to consider the fact that possibly as early as next year, neither Busch brother will be there. And that's an interesting thought. As you say, that name's been around since the Earnhardt days. It's weird.
Yeah, well, and talk about, obviously Kyle is very outspoken and he hasn't been too thrilled with certainly the Generation 6 car. Obviously, we have a new next-gen car now, but Kyle, I think, is on the longest stretch of his career without a top 10 finish. Of course, he would have had one at Pocono, but that got taken away with disqualification. So if Kyle maybe just decides that he's not super happy racing in NASCAR at all, he's already stepped away from the Xfinity Series, would he maybe take a step back into just an ownership role and go race something else just for fun? Because again, Kyle has nothing to prove either. He's a 2-time Cup Series champion, has the most wins across the top 3 divisions, the top 3 series. I think, that's something to consider as well.
What if they swap? What if one of the Busch brothers goes to Xfinity? Takes Gibbs' seat. I mean, we've been against the swap all year. Yeah. But could that happen?
Well, that would be. I got to say, I think if Kyle's going to take a step into one of those series, I would like to maybe see him run for a truck championship so that he could have all 3 championships there. I wouldn't have as much of a problem if that was like Kyle Busch's intention to race for the Truck Series championship rather than just going around and stealing wins 5 times a year. If Kyle's racing for a truck championship in his own truck, then okay, let's see if he can get the Triple Crown of NASCAR national championships, if you will. But I don't see him returning to Xfinity on a full-time basis. I think that's probably off the table.
All right, let's have this in then, that Ty Gibbs replaces Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch goes to the Truck Series. Who from the Truck Series do we promote into the Xfinity Series? Who would take the seat for Ty Gibbs?
I think it would have to be John Hunter Nemechek, would it not? I think, because it's easy to forget Nemechek did a Cup season. He went back to trucks because there was a better opportunity for him. Obviously, he's running well. If an Xfinity seat of that same caliber opened up for him with Toyota, I think he's certainly the one. You look at Kyle Busch Motorsports, the prospects that they have, Chandler Smith, Corey Heim, as great as they are, as talented as they've proven to be, I'm not sure that they're ready for a jump like that just yet over a guy like John Hunter Nemechek. So I think that would maybe be the rotation and how it would work out. Nemechek would take that Xfinity seat that's currently being occupied by Ty Gibbs. But, who knows? Toyota's very good at finding development drivers and getting them into the entry levels, but they only have 6 Cup seats. So it's a little harder for them to keep them once they get to the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series.
I like that call. I like that little switch around. That makes everyone look a little bit happy. Makes Ty Gibbs very happy. It makes Kyle Busch a little bit annoyed, but might get the Triple Crown. So I think that's a nice little situation to go on as well. But my money's still on Kurt Busch to retire.
I don't think I'd be surprised at this point. I think, with all the discussion, I mean, a concussion is not what it was, at least in terms of how it was treated 20 years ago. I know Kurt wants to take his health very seriously, as does NASCAR, for Kurt's sake. And, that's obviously very important, and we should be commending them for that. But maybe does that factor into Kurt's decision as to, how much longer, even if Kurt was maybe planning to do this 2 more years, maybe he now only does it for 1 more year. We'll have to wait and see on that front.